The United States Military Academy at West Point, one of the most prestigious and historic institutions in the nation, is facing a new legal battle that raises questions about academic freedom, free speech, and the balance of authority within military education. A professor has filed a lawsuit against the Academy, alleging that West Point violated his constitutional rights by punishing him for expressing views that, he argues, should be protected under the First Amendment. According to the complaint, the professor, whose name has not yet been publicly released in court filings, accuses West Point officials of retaliating against him after he voiced critical opinions on issues related to military policy, governance, and the broader political climate. The professor asserts that his lectures and written commentaries were aimed at encouraging debate among cadets and fellow faculty members. Instead, he claims, West Point administrators silenced his perspective and took disciplinary actions that damaged his reputation and career. At the heart of the case is the ongoing national debate over the scope of free speech protections within military institutions. While the First Amendment broadly guarantees the right to free expression, the military often imposes additional restrictions to preserve discipline, order, and cohesion. This lawsuit tests the boundary between those two principles: whether a professor at West Point, though part of a military setting, should be treated as an academic whose speech enjoys the same protections as those at civilian universities. The lawsuit alleges that the professor's remarks, delivered both in classrooms and in written essays, were met with warnings from senior officials. Eventually, he was subjected to formal reprimands, restricted teaching duties, and exclusion from certain academic panels. The professor contends that these measures were not about maintaining discipline but about suppressing viewpoints that clashed with the administration's preferred narrative. Supporters of the professor argue that West Point should serve as a place where robust debate is encouraged, especially given its role in shaping future military leaders. They point out that cadets will one day face complex decisions in combat, diplomacy, and leadership, areas where critical thinking and exposure to diverse ideas are essential. Silencing dissent, they argue, undermines the very mission of preparing officers to think independently and strategically. On the other hand, West Point officials are expected to counter that the professor's speech went beyond academic discussion and potentially undermined the chain of command, morale, or trust in the institution. Military academies operate under unique circumstances, blending higher education with strict military discipline. The administration may argue that professors, just like cadets and officers, are held to standards that safeguard the order and effectiveness of the military environment. Legal experts note that this case could become a significant precedent in determining how First Amendment rights apply within military academies. Previous rulings have often deferred to the military's need for discipline, but courts have also recognized that educators and scholars have a unique role in fostering open dialogue. The outcome may hinge on whether the professor's speech is judged as legitimate academic discourse or as disruptive conduct within a military structure. Beyond the courtroom, the case has sparked intense discussion among policymakers, veterans, and civil liberties groups. Organizations advocating for free expression have already signaled their intent to monitor the proceedings closely, arguing that the lawsuit highlights the tension between protecting constitutional rights and respecting the military's special requirements. Some lawmakers have also weighed in, suggesting that West Point, as a taxpayer-funded institution, should hold itself to the highest standards of transparency and fairness. For now, the professor seeks reinstatement of his full academic privileges, removal of the reprimands from his record, and financial compensation for damages. More broadly, he hopes the lawsuit will reaffirm the principle that military academies, while unique, should not be exempt from constitutional obligations to protect free speech. As the legal battle unfolds, West Point finds itself in the spotlight, not for battlefield heroics or cadet achievements, but for a constitutional clash that could redefine the relationship between military education and the freedoms enshrined in the nation's founding document.